Marjorie Kelly, The Divine Right of Capital, Dethroning the Corporate Aristocracy. Discover how the corporate world has come to resemble the era of feudal aristocracy in Marjorie Kelly's The Divine Right of Capital, Dethroning the Corporate Aristocracy. The book unravels how stockholders and the wealthy are exploiting societal structures and preserving their status through a flawed system. Learn how this economic aristocracy is built on principles that prioritize the needs of property owners, while disregarding the workforce and the community. The author challenges these outdated concepts in order to advocate for a democratic vision of capitalism that promotes equal rights, public good, and corporate responsibility.
The myth of shareholder capitalism. Today's predominant business paradigm of maximizing returns to shareholders is not questioned or controversial, but it should be. This approach gives virtual sovereignty to the wealthy, creating a new divine right of capital. Despite the belief that stockholders fund major corporations, most of their investment dollars go to speculators who buy and sell to one another. The real productive investment comes from the entrepreneurs and initial venture investors who take the risk to build a business. This approach creates a wealth privilege bias that serves the few and disregards the many, reflecting a belief that employees are just expenses and not truly part of the firm. The result is a focus on short-term returns at the expense of long-term productivity and the well-being of employees and local communities. Redefining capitalism. Capitalism should be transformed into a new democratic version, where prosperity is based on productivity, sustainability, and community. Shareholder primacy leads to an unjust concentration of privilege and entitlement in a market economy. Maximizing stockholder returns contradicts the basic principles of a free market that recognizes, at its core, supply and demand, competition, self-interest, and wealth creation. Corporations are not private property and have become more powerful than the democracy's governing institutions envisaged. Owners' responsibility has shrunk, providing them with little function beyond extracting wealth. Knowledge, created by employees, provides firms with their competitive advantage, therefore, shareholder wealth allocates resources unfairly. Finally, natural resources are finite, and corporations can harm ecosystems. The concept of property privilege is obsolete, and maximizing stockholder returns has become inconsistent with the capitalist system's fundamental principles. Thus, shareholder primacy, which favors a particular group, should be altered to ensure the principles of democracy, productivity, sustainability, and community guide capitalism. Challenging the divine right of corporations. This book's summary discusses how the prevailing corporate culture, focused solely on maximizing shareholder profit, can be traced back to 6 principles promoting the needs of property owners. The author argues that this system perpetuates inequality while restricting liberty and harming both employees and the community. To promote economic democracy and greater equality, the author outlines 6 alternative principles and a new institutional framework rooted in Enlightenment ideals and economic justice. The resulting shift towards democratic governance will require a reimagining of property rights, citizenship in corporations, and the broader role of corporations in promoting the public good. The economic aristocracy. The concept of aristocracy dates back to the Middle Ages and has evolved into modern-day corporate structure, benefiting stockholders over workers and the community. The idea of ownership was based on land in the past, but now, it is based on various forms of wealth or assets. Unfortunately, in the current system, employees are regarded as expenses and do not bring any value to the balance sheet. This dehumanizing approach leads to discrimination against workers and the community in favor of shareholders. The corporate worldview based on aristocratic privilege supports this approach, as the lofty idea of privilege dates back to aristocratic times that glorified living off of one's property, not labor. This has been transformed into notions of financial privilege in speculating or gambling, collectively called investing, which involves extracting wealth rather than creating it. As a result, only a small class of stockholders has become the owners of feudal estates in the current investor capitalism, overwhelmingly ruling over managerial capitalism. Challenging economic aristocracy. This book argues that waking up to the fundamental principle of equality is crucial in countering the grip of the economic aristocracy. The system needs to shift from shareholder supremacy to a guiding principle that recognizes and grants equal economic rights to all human beings, including employees and communities. Instead of treating employees as assets, they ought to be regarded as colleagues, co-workers, or investors. The process of democratic change does not require overthrowing the whole corporate structure, but rather a gradual, evolutionary shift that extends stockholder rights to other people. This requires a more responsible and democratic corporate governance process, which should be supported by leaders at the managerial level. Investors can help bring change to the current system by investing in socially responsible mutual funds or money management companies.
Marjorie Kelly's The Divine Right of Capital exposes the stark reality of an economic aristocracy that serves the wealthy few at the cost of the majority. To efficiently counter this system, the author stresses the need to recognize the core issues and move towards a more democratic, enlightened, and equal system of capitalism. This transformation requires a re-evaluation of financial statements, recognition of property rights beyond stockholders, and establishing a new sense of corporate citizenship. Changes in inheritance laws, profit sharing, and corporate governance can also play a crucial role in achieving economic democracy. By embracing an evolutionary approach that combines democratic ideals with market principles, individuals can help pave the way for a more equitable and sustainable capitalist system.